When I was young, I failed many English exams. Not once, not twice, many times. And the interesting thing is, it was not because I didn't try. It was because I didn't understand how real English works. I thought English was about memorizing words, grammar rules, and perfect sentences. But real English is not like that. Real English moves fast. It flows. It feels alive. And I remember the first time I heard native speakers talk naturally, I felt lost. Completely lost. It sounded like noise, like waves hitting the shore too quickly for me to understand. I knew the words individually, but when they spoke, everything disappeared. And maybe you feel the same way right now. But let me tell you something very important. The problem is not your ability. The problem is your training. You are training your English like a student, but real English requires you to train like a listener, like a communicator, like a human being who experiences language, not just studies it. When native speakers talk fast, they are not trying to confuse you. They are simply being efficient. Language, when it becomes natural, always becomes faster, shorter, and more emotional. People don't say every word clearly because they don't need to. Their brain already understands the pattern. So if you want to understand fast English, you must stop chasing words and start understanding patterns. I always say, learning is not about working harder. It's about working smarter. Let me give you an example. When someone says, "What are you going to do?" you may try to hear every word, but a native speaker doesn't hear 5 separate words. They hear one unit, one rhythm, one chunk. It becomes something like, "What you gonna do?" If you try to decode word by word, you will always be too slow. But if you train your brain to recognize chunks, suddenly everything becomes easier. This is the first mindset shift you must make. Don't listen for words. Listen for meaning. When I learned English, I didn't have many resources. No apps, no YouTube, no online courses. So I went to hotels and talked to tourists for free. Why? Because I wanted real English. I wanted speed, emotion, mistakes, accents. I wanted a reality, and reality is messy. People interrupt each other. They speak unclearly. They change sentences in the middle. But this is exactly what makes you stronger. If you only learn clean English, you will always struggle with real English. So what should you do? You must expose yourself to fast English every day, even if you don't understand everything, especially when you don't understand everything, because your brain learns through struggle. Think about this. When you go to the gym, do you lift light weights forever? No. You increase the weight. You challenge your muscles. Listening is the same. If everything is easy, you are not growing. So choose audio that is slightly difficult, not impossible, but challenging. Listen once and don't panic if you only understand 30%. That's already progress. Then listen again and again. Each time, your brain will catch more. This is how you train your ears to keep up with speed. Another important thing I learned is this: repetition is power. Many people listen to something once and move on. That is a mistake. Real improvement comes from going deeper, not wider. Take one short clip, maybe 1 minute. Listen to it 5 times, 10 times. Repeat it out loud. Copy the speed, the tone, the emotion. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You feel slow. You feel awkward. But this discomfort is where growth happens. You are not just listening. You are rewiring your brain. And here is something most learners ignore. Speaking helps listening. Yes, speaking. Because when you train your mouth to produce natural English, your ears become better at recognizing it. Your brain starts predicting patterns. For example, when you say, I'm gonna go, instead of I am going to go, your brain becomes familiar with how fast English sounds. Then, when you hear it, you don't get surprised. So don't be afraid of informal English. It is not wrong. It is real. Now let me share something deeper. Understanding fast English is not just a technical skill. It is also emotional. When you are nervous, your brain slows down. When you're afraid of missing words, you miss even more. But when you relax, when you trust the process, your brain works faster. So instead of thinking, I must understand everything, try thinking, I want to understand the story. Focus on the idea, not the perfection. If someone says, I was rushing, missed the train, grabbed the coffee, and ran to the office, you don't need every word. You see the situation. You feel it. This is how communication works. Language is not about perfection. It is about connection. And this brings me to another important strategy. Visualization. When you listen, don't just hear. Imagine, turn words into pictures. If you hear, she opened the door, looked around, and whispered something, create a movie in your mind. This helps your brain process faster because images are quicker than translation. Translation is slow. Experience is fast. And if you want to understand fast speakers, you must stop translating in your head. You must experience English directly. Now, let's talk about something practical you can start today. Every day, take 5 minutes. Just 5. Choose a short clip with native speakers. Listen once without subtitles. Don't stop. Just listen. Then listen again with subtitles. Notice what you missed. Then listen again without subtitles. Then repeat what you hear. This simple habit, if you do it every day, will change your listening ability completely. Not in 1 week, not in 2 weeks, but in 1 month, you will feel the difference. And in 3 months, people will notice it. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Another thing I learned in business and in learning is this. Small improvements every day create big results. Don't try to master everything at once. Focus on one skill at a time. Today, maybe you focus on connected speech. Tomorrow, maybe you focus on intonation. Next week, maybe you focus on understanding one accent. Step by step, you build a system in your brain. And one day, suddenly, fast English is no longer fast. It becomes normal. I've seen this happen many times. At first, everything sounds impossible. Then slowly, patterns appear. Then suddenly, clarity comes. And you realize the speed didn't change. You changed. Before we finish, I want to tell you something honestly. Learning English is not easy. Understanding fast speakers is not easy, but it is possible. If someone like me, who failed many times, who struggled for years, can learn to communicate with the world, then you can too. The key is not talent. The key is persistence, smart practice, and the courage to face difficulty every day. So next time you hear fast English and feel frustrated, don't stop. Smile. Because that difficulty is your teacher. Keep listening. Keep repeating. Keep imagining. Keep improving. And one day, without even realizing it, you will understand everything naturally. Not because English became easier, but because you became stronger. Improvements every day create big results. Don't try to master everything at once. Focus on one skill at a time. Today, maybe you focus on connected speech. Tomorrow, maybe you focus on intonation. Next week, maybe you focus on understanding one accent. Step by step, you build a system in your brain. And one day, suddenly, fast English is no longer fast. It becomes normal. I've seen this happen many times. At first, everything sounds impossible. Then slowly, patterns appear. Then suddenly, clarity comes. And you realize the speed didn't change. You changed. Before we finish, I want to tell you something honestly. Learning English is not easy. Understanding fast speakers is not easy, but it is possible. If someone like me, who failed many times, who struggled for years, can learn to communicate with the world, then you can too. The key is not talent. The key is persistence, smart practice, and the courage to face difficulty every day. So next time you hear fast English and feel frustrated, don't stop. Smile. Because that difficulty is your teacher. Keep listening. Keep repeating. Keep imagining. Keep improving. And one day, without even realizing it, you will understand everything naturally. Not because English became easier, but because you became stronger.